The transfers portal is underway, but as Brian Kelly mentioned, doesn't look like there's going to be a ton of movement in the transfer portal, barring something unforeseen. But what I do want to mention, CBS Sports put this out yesterday. They put out the most valuable player for every top 25 college football team entering 2025. They have Texas at the top. No surprise, it's going to be Arch Manning. Look, I have been very critical on what I have thought about Arch Manning's and the hype around him. I think he has a chance to be good. I think he will be good, but the hype is a little ridiculous. This is a guy who's 19 years old. He has never been a full-time starter at the college level. We don't know what it's going to look like. I think Arch has all the tools. Obviously, we know the pedigree that comes with being a Manning. But Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, Gunnar Helm, all gone from last year. Not only are you breaking in a new quarterback, somebody else is going to have to step up in that receiver room for Texas. Now, they got solid pieces, but we got to see somebody become the guy like Matthew Golden was down the stretch last year. At Georgia, it's wide receiver Noah Thomas. Miami, it's Carson Beck. Obviously, he transferred from Georgia. Ohio State, no surprise there. It's Jeremiah Smith. Nick Singleton for Penn State. Like, you get the idea, right? A lot of good teams, a lot of really good players being named as the potential MVP for the 2025 season. Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame makes a lot of sense. They're moving on from Riley Leonard. What is that Notre Dame running game going to look like? Dante Moore at Oregon. But for LSU, CBS Sports put Mansour Delane, the transfer cornerback from Virginia Tech. The write-up says, LSU's upside under Brian Kelly has been severely limited by a consistently subpar defense, one that especially struggles against the pass. So the Tigers loaded up on secondary talent via the transfer portal and high school recruiting in hopes of finally solving that issue. The gem of the entire group is Delane, a 6'1 corner with sticky coverage skills and great ball skills. He led the Hokies with 4 interceptions in 2024. Now, would I have picked him as my MVP for 2025 at LSU? No, because I think this team's going to be as good as Garrett Nussmeier and that offensive line allow them to be. I think I would go with that. But Mansour Delane was a big-time transfer portal addition. No question about it. The most proven DB in this secondary. Yes, Ashton Stam's entering his 3rd year, but you want to look at a guy that was a solid player, Mansour Delane. I mean, we actually just got off the phone last hour with Glenn West. Glenn West had a write-up on Mansour Delane. He mentions the same article that I'm referencing. Glenn's high on Mansour Delane. He was very solid at Virginia Tech. You heard that he led the team in interceptions. It was more than just that. Here's what he did last year. 54 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 4 interceptions. 6 interceptions in his career, 146 tackles over a 3-year stretch, including 8 tackles for a loss. He was really good at coming up, making tackles at the line of scrimmage. What we had heard about Mansour Delane coming into LSU when they got him out of the transfer portal, this is a guy that's a really good cornerback. However, there were some people that said, hey, maybe we could see him make that move to safety. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to start at cornerback on this defense. But it was said that he could potentially play anywhere in this secondary. That's the thing I love the most about Mansour Delane. Sure, he's got experience in the Power 4, and he's been a productive player in college. I get all that. Again, I think he will start at corner on this defense. Right now, if I had to bet, you asked me to put money on who I think is going to start for LSU, Mansour Delane on one side, Ashton Stamps on the other. That's probably where I'm going. As far as game 1 goes, just based off of experience. But what if, let's say Ashton Stamps does get that other spot? What if you're really happy with a DJ Pickett or Jakeem Jackson or a PJ Woodland or somebody along those lines? Could you move him to safety if you're not happy at safety? Look, we've talked about safety a lot in the spring, right? That was kind of the position to watch on defense. You bring in Tamarcus Cooley from the transfer portal. Outside of that, Deshaun Spears entering his 2nd year, who showed flashes last year, but at times looked like a freshman. Javian Toviano finally making the move full-time to safety for the first time in his LSU career. He's played a little bit of safety. He's played a little bit of corner. He's played a little bit of that nickel. He can finally focus on one spot. A lot of people forget you do return Jordan Gilbert. Gilbert started for you last year a number of games, got hurt a little bit down the stretch, has been out pretty much all of spring, but he's working his way back. He'll be in the mix in fall camp. Again, he's a guy that started a lot of games for you a year ago. But what if it works out at safety? What if Tamarcus Cooley is the player you thought he was when you went and got him in the portal? He's got one spot locked up. Spears, Gilbert, Toviano, they're all battling for that other spot. Makes each of them better. You have two really solid safeties at that point. Harold Perkins is expected to play that star role. What if it doesn't work out? What if Harold Perkins is not fully healthy for whatever reason? Could you put a guy like Mansour Delane in that star role? Because right now, you don't have a solidified number 2 in that spot. I think Perkins is going to work out at star, but let's say he's fully healthy and it just doesn't work out. That's not his spot. Could the versatility of a guy like Mansour Delane help fill that? So look, whether he's at corner, whether he's at safety, whether he's at star, I think Mansour Delane's going to start on this defense, and I think he's going to make an impact on this defense. Look at the guys you brought in. DJ Pickett's a freshman. PJ Woodland's back, played a little bit last year as a freshman, showed some promise. Ashton Stam's entering his 3rd year in this program. I think he has a potential to have a really good year. You bring in Jakeem Jackson, who's a talented player who signed at Florida under Corey Raymond. He follows Raymond to LSU, but he's been injured at Florida. He hasn't played a ton. The guy that you brought in that had the combination of size, speed, experience, on-field production was Mansour Delane. And I think he was one of the most important portal ads you had. Everyone wants to talk about the edge rushers, and rightfully so. Okay, like Gabriel Relaford showed promise last year. You bring in Jack Pyburn, Jamari Butler, Patrick Payton. All 4 of those guys, I think that could potentially be one of the most talented rooms, not just on your defense, but on your entire team. But I think Mansour Delane maybe was the biggest transfer portal addition on your defense because of the versatility I mentioned. Because, look, Stamps took a big step forward in year 2. Can he do it again? Pickett's as talented as anybody out there. He's a freshman. I just mentioned the injury history of Jakeem Jackson. PJ Woodland, he was a freshman last year. He's still a young player. You had to go get secondary pieces. You got Tamarcus Cooley, who I think is going to be big for you. But Mansour Delane, he is going to start on this team. I think he is going to make plays on this defense. I think this is a big year potentially for that LSU defense. When Blake Baker was hired, everyone went back and looked at what he did at Missouri. Missouri had an awful defense. He made them respectable in his first year. And then by year 2, they were a top 30 defense. Can he do that here? He already did part 1 last year. LSU's defense wasn't great, but it was respectable. It was a whole heck of a lot better than it was under Matt House the 2 years previous. Can he help that defense make that similar jump? Bring in a new D-line coach in Kyle Williams, but look, replacing Bo Davis, no easy task. By all accounts, everyone's excited about Kyle Williams. You did a great job on your edge rushers. Might be the strength of your defense. I think you're going to be solid at linebacker. I think your corner, you're deep there. All of a sudden. Past couple years, you hadn't had any bodies. Now you're kind of deep. Say Delane stays at corner. Mansour Delane, Ashton Stamps, DJ Pickett, Jakeem Jackson, PJ Woodland. It's 5 guys right there. And then it's safety. If you can grab a spot next to a Tamarcus Cooley, who takes over that role, I think this defense has a chance to be really good. And again, I don't think any addition was more important than Virginia Tech transfer Mansour Delane.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.